was a really traumatic experience. And I had a lot of questions about what would happen in my career. I didn't really know if I'd be able to ever work out hard again or what I'd be able to do. And, so much of my life revolves around that now. It was a really serious situation and I had to learn how to walk again.
This week on the Trailblazers, we share the story of Senior Manager for Community Impact at Reebok International, Brooke Rosenbauer, who shares the strategy that she took to get to the top, plus how she managed to overcome after almost losing it all. You definitely need to stay tuned for this episode, plus some crucial tips on how to stay in shape, especially during this pandemic. This episode of the Trailblazers is powered by DG's Nutrition and Wellness Center. Contact them today for weight loss or weight gain, hypertension management, diabetes management, diet changing, healthy food preparation, nutritional detoxing, immune boosting programs, and so much more. Give them a call at 876-286-1363 or visit them at 39 Lady Musgrave Road, Eden Gardens, Kingston 5.
I took a 75% beautiful black X5 to drive in a Tita, a second hand.
And Oprah grabbed my hand. She was like, all right, show me.
One thing that I learned from Steve Harvey's obstacle, I remember he had gotten fired from that particular radio station.
If you don't get single-minded and push certain things, they never get accomplished.
Yes, you have to be resolute in your purpose. That's
right. And you have to put a timeline on it. That must be done by.
Hey everyone, I am Tamara McKayle, producer and host of the Trailblazers series. Remember to hit the notification bell right below, subscribe, like, comment, and share. And join the Trailblazers family for weekly inspirational episodes every Sunday.
I'm Brooke Rosenbauer. I'm Senior Manager for Community Impact at Reebok International. You are watching the Trailblazers with Tamara McKayle.
Brooke Rosenbauer is currently the Senior Manager of Community Impact at Reebok International and oversees the Reebok Foundation as well as volunteering grants and non-profit partnerships. Previously, she worked in the field of sport-based youth development as the Lose the Shoes campaign director for grassroots soccer and the senior technical officer for Partners of the Americas. She has a Bachelor of Arts in Health Science, Society and Policy from Brandeis University and a Master of Science in International Health Policy and Management from the Heller School of Social Policy and Management. As a Truman Scholar, Brooke is dedicated to public service and leveraging the power of corporations for good. In addition, Brooke has developed a side business as a fitness trainer, instructor, and coach. She has multiple certifications and is on the Les Mills USA National Presenter and Trainer team and is a frequent contributor of healthy living and nutrition content for Adidas Game Plan A. Hi Brooke, it is a pleasure to have you on the Trailblazers.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited.
Yes, and I know you've lived in several countries, but where in the world are you right now?
I'm right outside of Boston, Massachusetts, USA.
Okay, awesome. So for our viewers, as I mentioned in the introduction, Brooke is a senior manager at Reebok International. And of course, we know Reebok as a sports company. I remember I met Brooke actually at the US Embassy Academy of Women Entrepreneurs recent summit. And I was mentioning to her that I'm a big Reebok fan. Like a lot of my gym wear is Reebok. So it's a good company to be a part of.
I love it.
So tell us about your journey. Like, how is it that because I know you're a fitness fanatic. I follow your Instagram and I want to be fit like you one day. I still have some soft areas. I need to get some abs.
Oh, you can do it.
Tell us how you got started.
Well, I actually started out as an athlete. So I played soccer or football growing up. And I also did a sport which you probably don't have in Jamaica, but it's alpine ski racing. So when you grow up in the
snow for that, right?
Yeah, a little bit of snow. When you grow up in the mountains of Vermont, I guess that's what you do. So, I was really into sports. And and played soccer all the way up through college, and just loved it. I was also really interested in health. And so I was kind of exploring careers in psychology, maybe in medical fields, but that felt really narrow to me. So I ended up going the route of public health. And I stumbled upon this really cool program called Grassroots Soccer, which does HIV/AIDS education and awareness through a soccer-based curriculum in sub-Saharan Africa. So it sort of opened my eyes to the greater power of sport. Even though I had played a lot of sports and I coached sports, I coached kids teams and stuff, I didn't realize that there could be sort of this bigger impact on the world through sport. But it makes sense because it's such an amazing kind of universal language, and it's something that people can share regardless of where they come from, what language they speak, etc. So I kind of got on that track. So I worked for that organization for a while. Worked for another organization, which is how I had kind of my Caribbean adventures. So it was a workforce development program, and we worked with at-risk youth who were neither working or in school. And through a sport-based curriculum, we helped them develop basic skills and then technical skills for the workforce. So I got to travel a lot. That's how I got to know Jamaica really well. Just fell in love with the region. And that was amazing. And after a few years, decided it was, I wanted to do something a little bit more health focused, since that had been a big passion of mine. So networked my way. I found Reebok, which does this amazing program for kids. So it's all about physical activity for kids in schools and at home. And so started working for them on that program.
But stick a pin before we even continue further, because I like what you said, you networked your way. What did that entail?
Well, I was feeling a little antsy in my job and looking for a change. So I actually had a spreadsheet, a whole list of people that I had kind of found through my career, and, people that I had met at conferences or just organizations that I was interested in. So I would go through the list, and I wasn't super aggressive about it because I didn't need a job at that point, but I would just ask them questions and say, can we meet for coffee? Can we chat? Can I ask you about your job? And so, I just built these relationships with people, like, hey, I know this woman who's hiring at Reebok. You should talk to her. And so that's kind of how it happened. And so this was up in Boston. I was in DC at the time. So went up to Boston and had a really informal interview, but that ended up being the interview. I guess she liked me so much. She brought me over to HR. She brought me to meet all the team members. We went for a walk, and we just hit it off really well because we both had a love for just movement. So that's how I networked my way into that job.
That's amazing. And I actually like that, because a lot of times we go to, as you mentioned, events or functions, or just generally meet people, and but actually there is a strategy in terms of approaching them. But at the same time, I'm sure you didn't do it like, hey, one of those, like a network marketer. I'm sure you did it in a more authentic kind of way in terms of reaching out.
Yeah, I think that was key, is just being genuinely curious about people's jobs and their organizations, and then they kind of trust you, and then you can ask for a job when you really need it.
So take us a bit back even more in terms of, because I know in terms of university, that's what you studied as well. Mm-hmm. So
yes.
So continue.
So for university, I went to a university called Brandeis University, which is in Boston, and they have this multidisciplinary health degree. So it's called the Science, Society, and Policy of Health. And I could take any class that related to something health. So it could be biology, anthropology, sociology, philosophy, anything where they talked about, chronic disease or infectious disease or just anything, health policy. So that was amazing. And then I ended up doing a master's in management. So that was international health policy and management. And it was kind of like health policy with a little bit of MBA. And it was awesome. It was really, really great because I got those business skills. A lot of health kind of frameworks. We had classmates from all over the world, people who had been doctors who wanted to go into Ministry of Health and that kind of field, government. Yeah. And just learned a lot. And that's where I kind of got introduced to corporate social responsibility as well. So we talked a lot about how, businesses can use their power and money for good. That was a huge thing for the university that I went to, which had a big social justice kind of focus.
And it's interesting that you mentioned that because you also oversee the Reebok Foundation, right? So
Yes.
tell me a typical day. I know it's in the time of COVID-19, so perhaps you could give me a typical day pre-COVID and a typical day now in terms of your work.
Yeah, totally. So what I oversee is our relationships with our nonprofit partners in the local Boston area, and then our volunteering efforts. And so on a daily basis, it's a mixture of having meetings, now they're phone calls with our local partners. So all of our partners have something to do with what we call closing the fitness gap. So increasing access to fitness opportunities for underserved communities. So typically low income, we work with a lot of women. We actually work with a lot of survivors of domestic violence. Fitness can be really beneficial for their kind of mental recovery. So a lot of working with them and just chatting with them. Because I have a background in nonprofits, I think I understand like what they're going through, and I'm interested in kind of the challenges that they face. So through our conversations, we identify where they need help, where we can help build their capacity, where they need anything, whether it's donations, volunteer support, someone to help them with their marketing. And then we pull employees in. So we have 700 employees in Boston, and we kind of match them with the needs of the organizations. And so the other part of my job is just, managing volunteer events and then volunteer placements with our organizations.
Awesome. And you're also a fitness coach. You're an entrepreneur as well, which is different from Reebok. So tell me a little bit about that as well. As I said, I follow you on IG and I see all your fitness, fitness material. So tell us about that.
Yeah, and it's actually sort of related. So when I got to Reebok, I'd been an athlete. I had taken some fitness classes, but we have a beautiful gym at our office on our campus at Reebok. And so I started taking a lot of group fitness classes, and I actually started with more of like the dance fitness classes just because it was something fun and different. Yeah. Wasn't really my thing, but it kind of got me into group fitness. So we have another partner called Les Mills, which is a big fitness company, which specializes in these amazing group fitness experiences. So my friend who taught classes and was my big inspiration named Carmen went and got certified in this new thing called Les Mills. And I sort of like watched her do it, and it sounded amazing, so I wanted to try it. I also got my personal training certification, and just Reebok sort of opened my eyes to like everything that was fitness. So, it was one of those things where you just kind of like, I'm going to try it. It sounds fun. I'll see how it goes. And I was good at it. It sort of just brought out all of my skills and my interest in science and psychology, and all of that, and athletics. And so I started with a few clients. I started with a couple classes, and I actually started teaching classes at the Reebok headquarters. Yeah, I've just sort of grown. So I've worked my way up in Les Mills. I'm now a national trainer and presenter, which means I basically teach other people how to be instructors. In like normal days, I'll fly or go all over the country, and I'll get to do kind of like showcase master classes and do these trainings. But right now we're all virtual, so I do it right from here. So yeah, fitness, it's been a really cool way, I think, to be really creative and kind of, just be entrepreneurial. Sometimes when you're at a corporation, you can be a little entrepreneurial, but there's definitely, restrictions. And so this is my creative outlet. It's also my outlet where I get to directly help people, which is really motivating to me. So yeah, I've always been one of those people that has like multiple things going on. I think like people who are student athletes can relate to that. Like you have to have a lot of projects going on to keep you happy. So
definitely. And you're very high energy and pumped.
Yeah. So I need it. So, under normal circumstances, I used to teach every day at the Reebok headquarters. I would do morning classes. So we would start out the morning with a class, and it was kind of a cool way to just start the day with your colleagues. So I would teach classes, and it was open to the Reebok employees. It was kind of like a team. It felt like a really team kind of environment. So I do miss that. It's been interesting exploring virtual fitness. I teach classes virtually, and I train my clients. I still, I write out their training plans, and we have calls, and, I do more coaching. But I can't wait to get back, because there's nothing like a live fitness class and just the energy. And I think I really miss that outlet.
We all miss it in some ways, but there is another aspect I wanted to touch from your story though, because I actually like how you always knew from you were young, well, you always were an athlete and you loved that. And then you were able now to fit that into your career and what you're doing in terms of your profession. So for those who are tuning in, how is it that they're able to turn their passion into profits?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm really lucky. And I think my biggest recommendation would just be to try things. I mean, I didn't go from like, you know, middle school to like all of a sudden being a top trainer. I mean, I just dabbled in it and I said, I'm going to give this a try. I'm going to study for the test. I'm going to see how it goes. I kind of like doing this. So you just have to try things and kind of be willing to take little steps. I think we're all just sort of drawn to things that we enjoy. I was, believe it or not, really, really shy in high school growing up. I was really, really quiet, except when I was out on the soccer field. And except I was also in a band. So I was a singer in a band and I would be like super duper quiet, like in normal life. And then I would get up and have no problem like singing in front of people or like yelling like crazy on the soccer field. So if you can think of like where you feel most yourself, and try to just do more of that and see where it takes you. Yeah. I also think being open to non-traditional career paths, because if someone asks you where you want to be in 10 years, you're going to kind of think of like what you see around you. Mm-hmm. But having conversations with people, learning about their journeys, learning about how they explored, maybe they thought they were going to be a doctor, but they ended up somewhere else. And so how did that happen and how can you learn from their path? Because we don't need to be tied to this 10-year plan. There's so many things out there. And I think like when you're really passionate about something, it'll sell itself, right? So I'm really passionate about fitness and helping people, and I've been able to build a brand, and people I think are attracted to what I offer because I genuinely like it and care about what I do. So that will often sell itself and kind of get the ball rolling.
Definitely. Those are some great tips. I mean, and another thing though, moving on, I remember you shared a bit of your story, and just for our viewers, in terms of you experienced some challenges along the way, and at one point you literally had to take a step back from everything. So tell us what happened.
So there are actually 2 chapters of the story. So I'll tell you the 2 chapters. So before the thing that you heard about that I'll get to, in college, I studied abroad in Ecuador, and I was in a very, very bad car accident. It actually broke my pelvis, and had to be airlifted all the way back to the US. So that was sort of my first brush with real life, like real danger. It was a really serious situation, and I had to learn how to walk again. So for someone who had been like a star athlete and valued strength, physical strength and independence so much, I learned a lot from that. And I think that put me in a place of like, how can I take better care of my body? And how can I help other people overcome, you know, struggles that they've gone through? And so I thought that would be the only chapter and kind of like my story, like, yay, I overcame that, you know? And then a year ago, I went on what was supposed to be a vacation to Greece. I clearly don't have good luck with traveling. Don't
say that. Don't say that.
I know. Well, I do. I mean, considering how many places I've been to, I guess my track record is okay. But exactly. All these things tend to happen in other countries. So we went to what was going to be an awesome vacation in Greece. We were going to go to Santorini, I got off the plane and I had what's called a pulmonary embolism, which is potentially life-threatening blood clot, which travels from somewhere in your body into your lung. So this was another emergency situation. And I was actually stuck there for a whole month because one of the risk factors is the airplane. So that was one of the things that caused it. And I was in and out of the hospital. They thought I was better, and then I coughed up more blood and I wasn't better. I had to go back. So it was kind of this like nightmare situation. We didn't even know how long I'd be there. It was just day by day. And we finally got the clearance for me to fly home. but it was really serious. I mean, I wasn't allowed to get up at first. For a few months, I wasn't allowed to go up like more than a flight of stairs. I couldn't carry anything. I lost all of my strength. I couldn't breathe very well. I had been coughing up blood. Part of my lung actually died because of the blood flow getting cut off. So, very serious, very scary. And for someone who had worked her way up to being in top shape again, it was a really traumatic experience. And I had a lot of questions about what would happen to my career. I didn't really know if I'd be able to ever work out hard again or what I'd be able to do. And so much of my life revolves around that now. That now I'm a year later and I'm actually doing really well. I did a tough workout on my bike this morning. I think I'm more scared to push really hard just because, for a while it was hard to breathe. But I'm doing really, really well given everything that happened. And, I'm just grateful to be able to share the story and to share with people that you can go through really scary kind of rock bottom situations and still come back and still have a story to tell and still, use that to help other people.
Definitely. And we appreciate you sharing that. I mean, what kind of mental fortitude did you need to have though? Because I'm sure there were moments when you felt like, as you mentioned, this is your life. This is all you've done and you love doing it. And to think that very thing would be taken from you, maybe, so how did you feel in that moment and how were you able mentally to overcome?
I mean, it was truly rock bottom. Like when you're that scared and tired, like I didn't sleep in the hospital. It's just, I was in a room with like 2 other people and all of their families were in there. It was like a mess. So I was at my wit's end, just crying all the time, angry, like really no emotional control. Thank God for my husband, who is an angel. And thank God for social media and my friends, because all that I had there was my phone. The only thing that I had there was my phone. And it was the first time in my life that I really asked for help. I would put up, people knew what was happening. I put some of it on my story and I would just be like, please call me today. Like, I really need people to just be there with me and message me like funny things and just help me take my mind off of this. And so really the only thing that got me through were my friends, and it was my fitness family, like these people that I've kind of like, my fellow trainers and people from my classes, and this kind of fitness community really got me through, because there were moments where I was like, I don't want to go home. If this is the life I might have to go back to, I don't want to go home. Like I don't even want that life. So yeah, it was scary and it was awful, but it also made me realize the amazing community that I had, and like I have people I can count on when I really need them.
Definitely. That's a wonderful thing to know, that you have a shoulder to lean on. And I mean, moving forward, when we even compare what's happening globally with the COVID-19 pandemic, and so many other persons who are even watching may feel displaced because they too are facing uncertain times, and they may be not going through a health crisis like you did, but it may be a monetary crisis or some other form of crisis. So what would you want to say to them based on your experience and also your mental and physical strength that you built up?
Yeah, it was interesting because the pandemic happened like 5 or 6 months after this situation. And there were a lot of weird parallels in terms of like the social isolation and just your whole world like falling out from underneath you. And I've talked to a few friends about this. There's like a grief, like you're grieving the loss of normalcy, and you're grieving the loss of comfort and everything that you knew, and possibly huge life changes. And you're scared, for people's health. And so I think like it's an opportunity to really look at who you are. And when we go back to normal life, what are the things that we want to go back to? And what are the things that maybe we don't want to go back to that we can live without? Who are the friends who have been there with you? Who are the family members who have been there with you? What things really matter when a lot of this kind of like external stuff is taken away? So it's a time to reflect, and it's not going to be easy. It's so exhausting and scary to have all of that fall away from you. But I guess in all of these things, you kind of have to see the opportunity, because it's the only way that you're going to get through. And the only way that I got through, my times in Greece was small wins. Like for me, it was being able to get up and walk by myself a few steps, or, be able to get out of the hospital. But it's just little tiny things, and you have to celebrate those wins. And it's the same thing when I work with fitness clients. In order to not get discouraged, let's celebrate those 2 extra push-ups that you did. Let's celebrate like the fact that you did a slightly longer workout, even if it's just 5 minutes. We have to sort of find celebration in what we have, because I think a lot of what people are feeling is that they don't have those kind of external rewards anymore. They can't go out, they can't see their friends, but what can make you happy in the situation that you've got, and how can you really amplify that?
Definitely. I really appreciate that. We're winding down, but fittingly, as you mentioned, in terms of celebration, because we are in a time as well where unfortunately some of us have gained some COVID-19 weight, and persons are looking now to shed. And Thanksgiving just ended in the US. And we're now in December, it's the Christmas season, so persons may be eating out more. So what are some tips that you can share on a lighter note that we can just get fit, maintain our weight, or even get in shape?
Yeah, totally. And make the focus be about being strong and healthy. Like let's learn from this pandemic and really like invest in our health and think about how we feel really good, whether it's losing weight or not. Like how can we get stronger? How can we walk longer? So start small, go for walks, plan to like walk 2 or 3 times a week. And then there's tons of resources out there on YouTube, add a little weightlifting, try a little dance, like find movement that you love to do, and do it because you love it, not because you feel like you have to. And then it's going to be a lot easier to get up and just do your workout if it's something you look forward to. If dance class is your thing, do your dance class. You can get real sweaty, you can get your heart rate up, and you can get healthy and fit doing that kind of stuff. So explore what's out there, and then find something that you just enjoy. Crank up the music and do it. That's the best thing you can do.
I like that, crank up the music and do it. Because, all right. So my final question to you, share with us, maybe 3 rules for success that you have lived, you are going through, and that you feel that our viewers can use to also empower themselves and to live their best lives.
Yeah, well, first is follow your passion. So if your passion is a dance class, if your passion is helping people, do that and find a way to just do it. I guess the next thing would be is to create a circle where you can ask for help and rely on people. So think about, through this pandemic, who are the people around you that really mean a lot to you. And then the third thing is just celebrate small wins and allow yourself to celebrate every little accomplishment. None is too small because they all add up to something really amazing and big. So allow yourself to just be happy in the moment and celebrate what you've got.
Thank you so much, Brooke. I really appreciate you sharing with us on the Trailblazers. And you have shared a phenomenal story. We appreciate you being authentic and being real, and you just continue to be empowered and to blaze more trails. Thank you.
Thanks for having me. This is so fun. You're amazing. You are really talented. This is really, I've been interviewed by a few people, and you can tell like who really pays attention and asks the powerful questions and asks the right questions. And you totally do. You're really good at this.
Thank you so much.
And join the Trailblazers family for weekly inspirational episodes every Sunday.